I love how Melody does the intro and then leaves the camera on herself when it comes up. All of a sudden you see Melody like, "Hey world, what's up? Hey everyone, welcome to Kitchen Party. I am one of the co-hosts. Can we get a whoop 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 whoop?" We have a full house today. I just want to I'm going to have everyone introduce themselves, but I want to say real quick that today's show is about Thanksgiving fails. So if you have a question, this is Kitchen Party, and the way that this show works is that you are part of the conversation. If you're watching at home on Google+, on Twitter, use the hashtag Thanksgiving fail. And also, if you want, or Kitchen Party, we'll make sure we tune in and we watch that hashtag, and also on our event page as well. So if you have a really funny story that you want to share, or you want to offer some advice for another funny story, please tune into that. My name is Babette Pepaj. I'm one of the co-hosts of Kitchen Party. Kitchen Party is a show that runs every week. We're doing it on Sunday today, so it's a little bit different just because Thanksgiving is next week and we will not have a show. We do a show every week where we bring the coolest people in the culinary world to talk to you live so that you can ask questions. And also you have your input into this conversation. So we kind of know where the direction of the conversation is going, but with your input, we never really know where it's going to happen. So make sure you use the hashtag. Let me introduce Rene Lynch, who is my co-host. Rene, do you want to tell the folks who are new, who are watching in and tuning in?
Sure. I'm Rene Lynch. I'm a writer and editor at the LA Times. I work across a number of feature sections, including health and food. Happy Thanksgiving, early Thanksgiving, everybody.
Are you drinking?
You know what? I am not. I have coffee.
Boo. Renee's lane.
I know, this is a Thanksgiving fail, right? No alcohol.
Renee, is it spiked at least? You have nothing in it?
Unfortunately, it is not. It is not. I'll see if I could motion to my husband and have him bring me a glass of something.
Absolutely. You will need it. You will need it because you'll be laughing your butt off. Now let's have Elise. Elise Bauer, do you want to introduce yourself? Tell the folks a little bit about your website. And I know that we just had you on the show a couple weeks ago, but some folks who are just new turning in want to make sure that they know where to find you as well.
Great. Hi, I'm Elise Bauer. I run SimplyRecipes.com. It's a recipe blog that I've been running for and publishing to for the last 11 years. Got lots of Thanksgiving recipes going on right now. And I've been baking pies like crazy and doing planning and trying to get everything ready like everybody else is right now, getting ready for Thanksgiving.
Excellent. And our final guest is Kathy. Kathy, do you want to tell the folks a little bit about you? And also, you're on a trip right now. You got to tell us where you're logging in from.
Yeah, I'm Kathy Barrow. I'm known as Mrs. Wheelbarrow, and I am on a book tour. The end of the first leg. I've been gone for 2 weeks. I'm in a hotel room in Seattle, Washington. There's a bar downstairs, thankfully, with a very nice Bloody Mary maker. Yeah, and I have a website called MrsWheelbarrow.com. I have a lot of Thanksgiving recipes there, and I posted them at Food 52 and other places. There are some in my new book, Mrs. Wheelbarrow's Practical Pantry. But this year, for the first time in, I can't remember how long, there will be no Thanksgiving at my house. So I'm going out to somebody else's house.
That's nice. You won't have to do dishes.
I know, but I won't have leftovers either. I'm a little panicked about that. I like the leftovers better than anything else.
Now, Kathy, you need to bring some containers to your party, and then when no one's looking, just Oh,
she's that kind of guest.
Actually, that's kind of like our wedding caterers that they took all the food home from our buffet, which just reminded me of that. Yeah, they did. You're not supposed to do that, but that reminds me of that. And I'm like, anytime I think about that now, I'm like, oh, bastards, bastards.
It's so good.
I know. You'd think you'd want some left. We had one cake and 6 patties of salmon left. And I was like, how am I going to eat this? How am I going to eat this? Now, what's Thanksgiving like, Elise, in your household? What do you guys? What's the tone?
So my parents host Thanksgiving at their house. My mom and dad are turning 80 and 85 respectively this coming year, and still they insist on hosting Thanksgiving. But over the years, we've divided up a lot of the cooking. So my mother is in charge of the turkey and the stuffing. She cooks her turkey upside down. That's what she's been doing, breast side down. And she's been doing that for years and loves the way it turns out. And I think we're going to put a dry brine on the turkey this year after much discussion.
I've never heard of that, doing it upside down.
Yeah, if you do it breast side down, then it protects the breast a bit from the heat, and the breast tends to cook more quickly than the legs, and it's done at a lower temperature. And also the juices kind of drop down more towards the breast as it cooks. So it's just a easier way to make sure you don't overcook the breast. And my dad will be doing the mashed potatoes, mashed sweet potatoes, pureed cauliflower, and roasted root vegetables, and I'm in charge of the apple pie, the pecan pie, and the pumpkin pie, and a Brussels sprouts, a Gruyere, pancetta, shallot, gratin.
Ooh,
Okay.
that's good.
I'll be right over.
Really? I'm coming to your house.
Elise, how many people will be there?
We don't know.
Okay.
Somewhere between 8 and 13, and we haven't heard back from everybody, but the thing is, we make all the food anyway because we love the leftovers, and we have hot turkey sandwiches for days, and we always get a 20-pound turkey, so we always have a lot of leftovers.
Now, how about you, Kathy?
Oh, I'm sorry. I was going to ask you, Renee, but yeah, I want to know about Kathy as well.
Well, usually I cook a lot for Thanksgiving. I mean, I'll do 2 turkeys, 10 or 15 different sides, about 8 pies, because I don't have anybody for Thanksgiving dinner. But the day after, I have a party called the Dead Poultry Society. And we have held that party for many, many, many years. People know about it. People coming in from out of town always know they can come by the next day. And it's a day to celebrate leftovers. I am so tired after cooking Thanksgiving dinner that I was never happy at the dinner table. I was just, head in my hands, shoveling a little food in. I wanted to go to bed. I didn't want to talk to anybody. So this is a better solution all the way around. And everybody has fun. They bring their relatives, especially the ones they are really sick of dealing with, and they introduce them to people's relatives. And so lots of people have a lot of fun, and they can get everybody out of the house for a while. So we have anywhere from 50 to 80 people for that party.
Wow.
Wow.
And are you doing all the cooking yourself, or are you encouraging people to bring side dishes, or?
Well, I'm not doing it this year because I've been on the road, but when I have done it, I've always done all the cooking myself, which is why I'm so tired at the end of Thursday, and why Friday dawns, bright, and I'm cheerful, and I'm hungry, and I love it. So there's always a sandwich bar, there's a hot soup, we've got a couple of turkeys, usually a turkey breast, and there are a lot of vegetarians that come, so I do tons of vegetarian sides, and then it's all about the pie for me, lots of pies.
Oh my God, Kathy, I want to come to your house because I'm a vegetarian, and we're having Thanksgiving dinner this year. But I always find that the sides are really great, but all the starches, like the mashed potato, it's like, how much can I really eat of like the same kind of like a little bit of stuffing, especially if they haven't put any meat in it. And I just find that everyone gets like the good stuff. And every year I tell myself, I'm like, is this the Thanksgiving I end up eating meat again? And then I just can't, I end up not being able to do it. But it's like my one holiday where I struggle with that. Like everyone's having fun, everyone's doing it. I'm like, I don't know. I love that you put vegetarians in their own category, and you.
I married one, so I kind of have to.
Good.
Well, Babette, as a vegetarian, what kind of foods do you like to see at Thanksgiving? I'm sure a lot of people would actually love to know what kinds of foods they should be preparing for their vegetarian family members and friends that show up.
I think what would I really love? Because everything, it seems very traditional. It seems like potatoes, sweet potatoes. Yeah. There's some kind of green bean something. And I'm like a real sweet person, so I'll like start with the pies and work my way back. But I'd love a stuffing that makes me feel like I'm eating something significant, like that has some flavor in it. That's not just bread and a little bit of celery, and I don't know, like surprise me with like some fruit or something in there. I don't know, and I'm trying not to do tofu because tofu has a lot of like hormonal stuff that a lot of vegetarians. It's like you eat a lot of tofu, and then all of a sudden you're like, why did I gain 30 pounds? And you're like, hormones. So I'm trying to keep that in check. But I think the real key is if I can find something that makes me feel like I've really had a meal, as opposed to just eating all the sides. And maybe that's a delicious salad or some sort of, I think if you can convert the stuffing to be like, that's like my main, like once a year I splurge on something that's really cool. I think the stuffing is really the thing that I go, this I only eat one time a year and it's so delicious and I can eat the whole bowl. As opposed to just being like, I've just eaten a lot of bread and here I am.
I do a lot with mushrooms of all sorts, whether it's just creminis or also chanterelles and shiitakes.
Shiitakes, yeah.
A lot of mixed mushrooms, sometimes dry, sometimes fresh, and adding that to the stuffing gives it that umami that you miss if you don't have meat. And then having a really packed mushroom gravy as well gives you like all kinds of good, delicious things for vegetarians. And I make a spanakopita kind of pie with Brussels sprouts and feta cheese wrapped in phyllo dough. And it's quite deep, and some spinach and feta and Brussels sprouts, and that's really always a big hit.
Wow, that sounds amazing. That sounds really great.
Renee, we should take a
recipe. That sounds good. We should try that.
Road trip. Renee,
I also think that that doing things with butternut squash and spinach, like those two colors are so pretty together. So we usually do a layered gratin with those things, and the vegetarians take that down so fast that if you don't get there in the first 30 minutes, you're out. People go, wait, where's the butternut squash thing? I'm like, sorry, you were late.
Hey, Renee, this is the first time. Do you usually go home for the holiday? Do you usually go to your parents' place, or do they always come to you for Thanksgiving?
You know what? This is going to be the first year that I'm spending Thanksgiving with my mom in like 20 plus years, because I usually am here in California, and my parents, before my dad died, would celebrate back east. So this is the first year that my mom's going to be with me, so it's going to be great.
Oh, wow. You guys should, are you guys going somewhere, or are you actually going to be?
Well, years ago, I used to, that's why I have my series of Thanksgiving fails. I used to cook Thanksgiving dinner, and it was always, I kind of had an orphan's Thanksgiving where people at the paper would come over if they had no place else to go, and it was always like one problem after another. In a fun way, though. In a fun way, it's almost like not Thanksgiving unless something goes wrong. But in recent years, I have a friend who purchased a house with a huge backyard. So she does this huge extended sit-down dinner. So now we do it at her house, and then everybody brings something. So she makes the turkey and stuffing and gravy, and then we're all responsible for bringing pies or side dishes. And so it makes it very manageable and gives people an opportunity to maybe try some new dishes and introduce a few new things. So we always have the traditional stuff, like the potatoes and green bean casserole, but we're always trying to introduce, like, hey, we'll try this new salad or this new side dish.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned Thanksgiving fail. It's a perfect segue into reminding everyone, if you have a Thanksgiving fail story that you want to share, post it on Twitter with Thanksgiving fail and the hashtag Kitchen Party. And then also on our Google event page. You can find that by going to the BakeSpace.com Google page, because we're actually live streaming that right now. And I do want to check into Google Plus, because I want to, and Renee, I don't know if you're following Twitter yet.
Yep, I am.
I did want to say that some folks have chimed in. Callie Abrahamian, I hope I said that name right. We also have Peaceful Cooking, Danielle Nichols, Amanda Pa. Boy, some of these names are hard for me to pronounce, so I'm going to skip through some of them. I'm like, your parents were very interesting. Claudia Lamascolo also checked in, and we have some others that are chiming in as well. I don't know if Renee, if you have any stuff on Twitter, but people are starting to check in. So
yep,
I think
Amanda is also tuning in on Twitter too, so we're connecting with her in two places. She said that she loves the idea of the Day After Dead Poultry Society.
I think you're going to find some more people picking up on that, Kathy.
Yeah.
That's great.
Well,
And
I
it's
think
such a fun thing to do.
what'd you say?
But that I also have several stories that people wrote in to me on my Facebook page, which are kind of fun, and I can share at some point during this hour.
I think we want to start with one of those stories.
Sure. Okay, this is from Carissa Paravicini. All right, I'll just read it because it's funny. Once when pregnant with my first, I was making a slew of sides for my mom's house. I can err on the arrogant and picky side when it comes to food and only want the best for the holidays. So, of course, I insisted while being big and pregnant to make almost every side. I wasn't good at planning what and when to make food to not feel rushed. So come Thanksgiving morning, I was running around stressed. I brought the wrong kinds of recyclable tin casserole dish, and as we were racing back and forth, loading the car with all the goods, I picked up the sweet potato casserole the wrong way. I picked it up on one end, and the other end collapsed, and sweet potatoes went everywhere. Everywhere. All over our brand new apartment's white walls. All over the brand new white rug. Everywhere. In a panic, I didn't waste time to get a spoon. No. I started picking up clumps of boiling hot sweet potatoes with my bare hands and putting it back in the casserole dish, trying to smooth it out so no one would notice that it had just spilled on a rug. My husband walked up the stairs to find me, again, pregnant, covered in sweet potatoes, burns up and down my arms and hands, and since we were in such a rush, we squirted cleaner on the rug and left it. I had my brief panic attack in a paper bag, and then off we went. Thank you, Carissa. Oh my gosh.
Oh my. Have you guys ever had anything like that?
The worst thing that ever happened to me was when, because I cook so many things, I have it sort of planned out that this has to go in the oven, then this has to go in the oven, and so the turkey had to go on the propane grill in a roasting pan, and I turned it on, and there was no propane left, and of course it's Thanksgiving and nothing is open, and I was not really able to adjust very well, so the only thing I thought to do was sit down on the basement steps and sob. And now my husband says it's not really Thanksgiving until I cry on the basement stairs.
Like, woo. You know, when I was 16 years old, I decided I would make my I may have been 14. I decided I'd make like my first turkey, and I just did all this. I studied everything, and I took olive oil and I infused it with rosemary, and I stuffed it underneath the skin, and it was such a beautiful bird, and it was perfect. Took it out, made all the sides, everything was perfect. It was like 10 people who were eating with us. And we started cutting into the turkey, and all of a sudden, somebody discovered there was a bag inside. I forgot. Nobody told me there's a bag inside the turkey that needs to come out.
So all of the like the gizzard and that bag?
Yes.
Yeah.
That basically cooked it, and everyone was like, "Do we eat this or do we not? Like, what is the rule?" It was pretty awful. It was one of those things where you feel so great, and you don't have time to like make something else, so you move it onto the table, and everyone sits down, and everyone has their full attention, and they pull out this bag, and it was the most embarrassing. Like, nobody told me.
So normally they put that bag into the turkey cavity, right? Yeah. So a couple weeks ago, I was doing a test run because I needed turkey leftovers to experiment. So I bought a turkey, and I looked for that bag. It wasn't in the cavity. So I cooked the turkey, and then I'm cutting up the turkey, and the bag was put into the neck cavity, not the abdominal cavity. And and so there it was, all of the giblets, and And it was, okay, and it was like really, really, really cooked liver, really, really cooked heart. I'm like, anyway, sometimes they put it there. So now I have a little note in the post saying, make sure you find this bag and remove it. It could be in the head cavity. It could be in the neck cavity. It won't hurt you though. And I think honestly, the bag is a paper bag. I don't, unless yours was plastic. The one I had was paper, which is good because I would guess that probably a good like 10 or 20% of people bake it in the turkey because they just don't know to take it out.
Have you guys ever tried to take the turkey out the next morning and it was still frozen?
I've heard those stories.
Like,
it's really hard to thaw one of those things.
So that was my brother's, and Babette, I think I shared this story with you, but Kathy hasn't heard it yet, which is one of my brother Eddie's first Thanksgiving. He and his roommate bought this 22-pound turkey, huge turkey, completely frozen, and the day before, they put it in the refrigerator to refrost. One day before, a 22-pound turkey. And when that Thanksgiving Day comes and he's got people coming over, he pulls it out and it's still rock solid. But he thought, well, he's going to cook it anyway. So he put it in the oven and he cooks it, and it comes out and it's just golden brown and glistening and gorgeous, and it smells great, and the whole place smells like Thanksgiving. And he's got 10 people over, and they put that turkey down on the table and they start to carve it. He goes 1 inch thick, 1 inch in, and it's ice. It's just solid ice. So they ordered out Chinese.
I was looking at the Thanksgiving fail hashtag right now, and this guy, I think it's a guy named Cody Red 87. He wrote, "Don't forget to thaw your turkey. Your family will hate you."
Yeah. Yeah.
That's like those. Have you guys ever tried to do the deep frying?
No, but I've heard plenty of failure stories from those.
Yeah.
The fire started in the backyard.
Dangerous failures.
Yeah, what is the deal? What attracts people to that?
Well, it's delicious. It's delicious. I have had a deep fried turkey, and you try it, and you're just like, oh my God, every turkey should be deep fried, but it is incredibly, incredibly dangerous. And so at the paper, we advise people, if you want a deep fried turkey and they're awesome, find a place that sells it and purchase it already fried, because it is just so easy for that to go wrong so quickly. And you just don't want to have that happening on Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
I was looking at
the fire department at your house on Thanksgiving. Really, it's a bad idea.
Actually, that is a terrible idea. However, I recently thought this is a segue, but it'll be funny. I thought my fire alarm was going off because I was getting this like high-pitched chirp, and I didn't think it was the fire alarm. I thought it was the carbon monoxide thing, and it was like 3 o'clock in the morning, and so I called 911, and I'm like, I think because they had just installed the carbon monoxide thing, and I'm like, I can't tell, it's odorless. Like, will I know? Will I know? So the fire department shows up, and I hear them coming down the street, and they walk in, and let me tell you something. Firemen at 3 a.m. are very attractive. So if you're lonely this Thanksgiving, go ahead, call the fire department. They'll come out.
I think they're always attractive. I think firemen are always attractive. 3 a.m., 3 p.m. They're just gorgeous.
In my robe, and I had both dogs, like one dog here and one dog here, and I was like, and they're like, do you realize? I forgot to tell you guys the punchline. The punchline was, it was not my carbon monoxide. A smoke alarm was going off. So you know how that chirp that happens? It goes beep, beep. I thought I was getting carbon monoxide poisoning, but it was basically saying, idiot, change your battery. Change your battery. And the guy's like, your battery's dead. And I'm like, why couldn't someone tell me this on the phone? They're like, you would have heard it if it was the carbon monoxide. Anyway, so the story of this, the moral of this whole thing is, invite the fire department over, make sure you have some food, give them some food. It'll make your day.
If you actually really have a lot of extra food left over from any of your parties, you can always take it to a local fire department.
They're very happy to
very
receive
happy
it.
with and police department.
Oh, that's sweet.
That's a great idea.
That is real. That is adorable. Now, have you guys ever had any problems with like drippings and stuff in the oven where it's like caught on fire or anything crazy like that?
Luckily, no.
No. I've definitely smoked up the kitchen a bunch of times and set off smoke alarms and had smoked up kitchen when, it's in the middle of winter and you really don't want to open up all the windows. Yeah.
What happened? What did that? Was it the grease? What was the cause of the smoke?
We were roasting a duck, which is very fatty, at 500 degrees. And that will do it. And you roast anything with fat at 500 degrees, you're going to get smoke. And ducks are quite fatty, so smoke up the kitchen. And some ovens actually they're really good at sort of sucking in the smoke, and so but not my oven. My oven spews it all over the kitchen.
I have to say, I think the biggest challenge for me has always been figuring out where to put everything, like either storing it before or after the meal when you have a lot of sides and you only have one refrigerator. So I'm always sort of praying for cold enough weather that the garage will be about the same temperature as my refrigerator. And when we have these 70-degree Thanksgivings in Washington, D.C., I start to panic about where I'm going to put things and start calling neighbors and saying, are you going out of town? Can I have the key to your house? Is your refrigerator empty? And they're okay with that usually because they know that I'll forget something and leave it for them.
That seems like it's one of the hardest things to juggle all of that timing because you have more food than you have oven.
Right.
And it seems incredibly, incredibly difficult to just get all that stuff done. That was always the problem with my Thanksgivings, that I'd have these dishes, and by the time I tried to get everything hot and to the table, it was like 3 hours after I had planned to, have people eating. And of course, people are sitting out there drinking and noshing on appetizers, and then all of a sudden it's like people are no longer hungry after the time you bring all this food out. But do you have any tips for how to manage that kind of stuff?
Me? Oh, Dead Poultry Society.
I got a second refrigerator and put it in my garage. That's where everything.
Right. Oh, that'd be great.
And also, you can get the big coolers and just get some bags of ice. And that's, if you have some coolers with ice, then a lot can go in there. You don't even have to have a second refrigerator.
But then what about
My
oven
mom
time?
had a house in western Massachusetts, and we would put the food out on her porch because it was always really cold. And one year she forgot to lock the door to the porch, and a raccoon got in and really had a big Thanksgiving party. That night. It was so sad to find the tin foil sort of ripped and little bites out of everything.
Oh.
So, lock the doors.
That raccoon right now is telling somebody, like, that was the best Thanksgiving I ever had.
That's right.
Yeah, there's an outspoken on Twitter, which is Euclid1859, said, why is green bean casserole a thing? Why is this a holiday classic?
Honestly, I mean, Renee, maybe you know more about this, but I think it sort of came about in the 50s, and like so many classics, and it probably had something to do with Campbell's Soup Company, and as a marketing, I mean, it's like, pecan pie became popular in the 30s because Caro corn syrup pushed it. And before, in the 1800s, pecan pie wasn't made with corn syrup. It wasn't like what it is today. And so it really wasn't a traditional thing until Caro started pushing it in the 30s. And people liked it. It's a great pie. And so now it's part of the tradition. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, green bean casserole is very similar because a lot of the ingredients are things that come from packages. Like I don't ever make it because I can't. I just can't even fathom the idea of it myself. But everybody has their favorites. That's not one of mine.
Somebody always makes a green bean casserole. It's hard to say that. And people love it. I mean, it just always goes. And
Yeah.
I think it's one of those things, it's almost like fruitcake. Like, there are a lot of people who love to make fun of it, but then there are a lot of people who love to eat it. So it's like, for some reason, it works on a lot of tables.
Yep.
And there's another version of that kind of casserole that my stepmother used to make, which was broccoli, cheddar cheese soup from Campbell's, and then potato chips on the top.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's right up there with the green bean casserole. I'm with you, Elise. Those things will not grace my table.
Okay, so but here's one from my grandmother that I grew up with that I love, but I can't see how anybody else could possibly ever like it. And I've only made it once since in the last 20 years, and it was a Jello salad with green like lime green Jello, canned shredded pineapple.
Oh, I know. This is a Waldorf salad.
I had that one.
No. Cucumber and horseradish.
No.
I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. And it's actually it's on my board.
The mold with Miracle Whip.
It's a molded Jello salad. It's green with cucumbers, pineapple, and horseradish. And it's something that was part of every Thanksgiving I had as a kid. So for me, it's just it's part of Thanksgiving. But we haven't made it since grandmother died 20 years ago. So.
Oh my God!
I have to ask: how did it taste? Did it taste good, or was it just?
It tasted. I love Jello. I mean, what kid doesn't like Jello, right? And the horseradish made it spicy, and the cucumber made it crunchy, and the pineapple is sweet, and that kind of goes with the green lime Jello. So
you should make that this year. Freak your family out.
No, because my brother, he turned him off from horseradish forever. He can't have any horseradish because that salad, that Jello salad, traumatized him. But the recipe is actually on my blog. And I challenged people on Simply Recipes. I challenged people when I posted it maybe 8 years ago. I said, I just challenge you to make this. I challenge you. And someone wrote in saying, oh my God, my grandmother made the same Jello salad. And she was from Minnesota too. So maybe it was one of those things that like the salad got, someone made it for a local paper. And I don't know, those things were popular in the 50s.
Speaking of Minnesota, Amanda Pepaj is from, or Pay, maybe Pay. Amanda is from Minnesota. She said, benefits of living in Minnesota is extra freezer space when prepping for Thanksgiving. See, in California, we don't have that. Like, we have, especially Southern California, we barely have seasons, let alone any place to put an extra refrigerator. I just can't imagine having the room. Like, most places don't have garages and...
Well, Buffalo, you could just open up your window and put the extras in the snow. Carve out a little bit.
Elise, you mentioned the salad that your grandmother made. Kathy and Rene, do you guys have like a special recipe that only your family would make during the holidays?
For years during our family Thanksgivings, we would eat stuffed clams, and for some reason that became like a tradition. And I don't know where it came from. I think it was just that one of my uncles who really enjoyed stuffed clams. So we always have that as an appetizer at the table. And whenever I tell people that, they're like, "Wow, that's really bizarre," and seems like there's really no connection to Thanksgiving there. But for some reason, that's something that when I see stuffed clams, that for me says Thanksgiving even more than turkey does.
It's so
my mother
strange.
Always made chopped liver, good Jewish chopped liver, but it was partly because we had sandwich that we just loved the next day. And I always say I can only eat one of these a year because it's so, if my cardiologist knew, I would be in such trouble. That's mayonnaise, chopped liver and turkey and stuffing and cranberry sauce and bread, and it's just like one big heart attack right there. So once a year.
So Elise, go ahead. What were you going to say?
I've got another fail from that someone wrote in. This is from Nancy Jarabek. Our first Thanksgiving was so bad. my hubby and his brother were out the night before. When they came home at 3 in the morning, they thought it was a good idea to put the turkey in the oven. So needless to say, the turkey was done at 8 in the morning, and they didn't take the bat of innards out, and it was really dry. But I made them eat it anyway. Good for you. I would have done the same thing. Oh, wait a minute. Here's another really, really good one. Oh, it's not a Thanksgiving story, but still a good story. When I was learning, this is from Cherise Zenar Souza Win. I don't have a Thanksgiving disaster story, but when I was learning to cook as a teenager, I misread the recipe and used a 1/4 cup of baking soda instead of a 1/4 teaspoon. I think it was a gingerbread cake. It turned into a gingerbread volcano. Have you guys ever done that? Like put salt instead of sugar into something, and
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, I think Kathy, when you posted earlier, somebody did that. Let me see if I can find that on Facebook.
Yes, that
was
was
really
my friend Gail, who said that instead of using a cup of rice, she used a pound of rice.
Oh my goodness. Oh my
That is,
goodness.
let me see if I
that's
can
a
find
lot
that
of
post.
I did that once with a pie crust. Instead of using, I used a pound of butter instead of 2 sticks of butter because I had the ratios off. A pound of butter. I mean, that's like 4 sticks of butter into a pie crust. I mean, it wasn't a pie crust. It was a butter soup with flour.
Well, now that we're talking about pie, I'm going to share one of my favorite things, and I'm hoping that none of the people who were at the table that year are listening, because I made a pumpkin pie and left it on the counter. This is maybe 30 years ago, and my cat, I came back and I found little lick marks all over the top of the pie. I covered it with whipped cream and took it anyway.
No, no. I hope no one's listening.
Sometimes you just have to do what you have to do.
That's the time. It's like the time that we made a birthday cake for my roommate, and then it was a surprise party. We hid it in the corner of the room behind the couch, and when we came out to surprise her, the dog had gotten into it and eaten a 1/4 of it. It was ruined.
Yes, pets and holidays. It's always a special moment.
Speaking of pies, Kathy, I'm on your Facebook page, and Jamie Salmons said, and then there was the year I forgot to put sugar in the pumpkin pie.
Oh.
That must have been awful. That must have, and then Sharon Miro said, 10 years straight of burning the dinner rolls. I no longer make dinner rolls.
Okay.
Yeah, there are certain things you should just stop making. 10 years in a row, if it doesn't work, you're not destined to have dinner rolls. That's what I say.
Here's another cat story from Amy Gross. Well, there was a Thanksgiving in my childhood when my new cat, who I'd lobbied very hard to adopt, jumped on the counter and ran through the series of our 4 homemade pies made by my very fussy grandmother. 2 pumpkins, 1 apple, and a very messy French silk pie. That incident put me firmly on the naughty list for Christmas. Poor girl.
That's the worst. Like this happens to me all the time because we have like 5 adopted rescue animals, and every time something goes wrong, I always feel bad because I'm like, oh man, I really tried to get that dog. I tried, and then the dog just took a crap like on our foyer, or like a cat on somebody's shirt, and it's just like, I'm so sorry. But Thanksgiving, you have everyone pissed at you, especially if it's a dessert, because I think sides, if you burn a side or it doesn't taste good, people will forgive that. But if you mess up the desserts, not good.
Yeah.
I do remember a friend who took her yellow lab up to visit her brother and sister-in-law, and they had put out the turkey, and they left, and the dog ate most of the turkey. Then they had to go to vet. Then they didn't have Thanksgiving dinner, and she said she went home and she shipped them like Omaha steaks the next day. Sorry, with like a sorry note from the dog.
You know, there's
You had to
probably a
watch
lot.
those animals.
I bet you there's a lot of people this Thanksgiving who are going to be cooking for like their future in-laws or cooking for somebody special. Have you guys ever had a situation like that where like you were making, I mean, it doesn't have to be Thanksgiving dinner, but you were making something for your boyfriend or husband's family for the first time and everything went crazy?
My mother's been gone for about 10 years, and the first or second year after she was gone, my stepdad came down to spend Thanksgiving with us, and he brought his new girlfriend. And she's not really familiar with the kitchen at all. So she would sit at the table and watch me, working like it, and she'd say, "Your hands, they're always busy." Yeah, they are. I gave her potatoes to peel, thinking that was safe, but I watched her, and it looked like she was going to kill herself. So I'm like taking everything away. So because she didn't really know what to do with herself, she decided it'd be a really good time to talk about their sex life. So I would say that may have been one of the worst Thanksgivings ever. You really don't want to hear about geriatric sex life before Thanksgiving dinner.
I don't know about you guys, but I kick people out of the kitchen. I just can't have them. I mean, my kitchen is sort of in the flow of traffic, and what happens when everyone starts coming over, they huddle around the kitchen while I'm trying to put out the holiday meal, and I'm a horrible multitasker. At one point, I'm about to burst into tears, and I'm holding it all in, and I'll just say, "Can you please go to the living room and make these appetizers, and just I kind of need to focus on cooking."
Totally.
My brother last year, my brother Matthew, halfway through Christmas dinner, he comes out half through my cooking of it. He comes in and he says, "Elise, you really need to chill out, and why don't you come and join us?" And I just looked at him and I said, "Okay, who's gonna cook the dinner? Really? Like, if I chill out, like, just ignore me. Go hang out, drink, let me cook."
It seems like this is one day where planning ahead and having like make ahead things or maybe even things that you can pretty much have prepped and ready to go the day before really pays off, because it's just people are just walking through and maybe they haven't seen each other for a year, so they're trying to catch up, and it's just like, get out of my kitchen, I need to I need to get organized and get everything done. But it's so hard, right? Because you lose 5 minutes chit-chatting with your uncle and you're behind the 8 ball.
That's when you end up forgetting to put the sugar in the pie, because then you've lost the flow.
I always make the pies a day ahead. I just can't, because you have there's one oven. I have 2 ovens. One's for the turkey or the roast. One is for sides, and those pies had to have happened the day before. They're just not going to happen. But speaking of planning, I have another submission. This is from Sabrina Model Carlberg from thetomatotart.com. Sabrina is a food blogger, and she said she had bought her first house and decided to host everyone at their new home in Las Vegas. And listen to this menu. I planned an extraordinary menu, including puff pastry with lobster and vanilla chive sauce, a port and pear glazed turkey, sourdough stuffing with leeks and cherries, potatoes dauphinoise, is that how you pronounce it? Glazed carrots. You get the picture, everything. Being new to hosting such an elaborate meal, I thought if I got up at 5 a.m. and started cooking, as in no prep work leading up to the day, we would be on track to serve dinner at 3 p.m. Needless to say, that didn't happen. Our first appetizer came out at 4:30, and we ate the turkey at 8 at night. So I think that's just a great story to illustrate, to get as much done ahead of time as we can. And also, I don't know about you guys, but to try to do all of this yourself, I think that's just really, really hard. And we have it great in our family because we kind of divide and conquer. I don't know how people do it otherwise. I hosted a Thanksgiving in my house once when I was living in San Francisco. Everyone showed up. I did all the work, and by the end, I was so exhausted, I was crying. I was just in tears. And when my brother just took a dirty dish and put it on the counter, I just looked at him and I started yelling at him. I was like, can't you even rinse it and put it in the dishwasher? You know, like, do you think that, like, you know, I was just exhausted and cranky. I don't know how people do it. I would say don't. Get help.
Yeah, I think dividing it up is the way to go. That's how I did it in the beginning. I wanted to cook everything, in part because I was inviting people who I knew they did not know how to cook. So I thought if we left dishes up to them, it would just be a disaster. And it was just miserable. The first few Thanksgivings that I did, I was just miserable. So then I started to learn how to farm simple things out and get some help. But like I said, now I let somebody else deal with most of that and just bring a dish to somebody else's house, and it's perfect.
We do have a post on Twitter from Jean Marie. She said, I left, this is proof that Elise and I are in good company. It says, I left the giblet pack in the turkey, never thought to look inside. Because nobody tells you this. I don't even know if it's on the turkey. I'm going to actually look next time. I'm going to look at a turkey, the plastic wrap, and if it's like, please take insides out. It'd be like, what? So Jean, welcome to Kitchen Party. For those of you who are watching, we have about 10 minutes left of the show, so if you want to interact or ask a question or give your story, use the hashtag Thanksgiving Fail and also the hashtag Kitchen Party. And you can also post on our Google event page as well. I am drinking a gin and tonic, and I am realizing that the gin and tonic is starting to kick in a little bit. So I'm like, I'll drink it a little bit slower. So are you guys drinking at all? Did we talk about this? Did I?
Yeah, I'm having some wine. Here we go. And some tea. Some detox tea to detox from the wine.
Like
two birds, one stone.
And Renee, you're doing coffee.
I'm doing coffee. I am a Thanksgiving fail because I did not get a drink ready before the show. So
I forgot we did talk about this.
Bad on me.
Kathy said that she went down to the bar. See?
Yeah.
I have. I wanted to pass along a Thanksgiving fail. I think I may have discovered an urban myth while polling friends and family about their Thanksgiving fails, because two different people told me a story that sounded awfully familiar. And it was one was from Southern California, one was from Florida, which is important because both stories were about how the Thanksgiving turkey was being cooked on the grill outside, and then from the trip from the grill to inside, somehow the turkey fell into the pool. And in both cases, the turkey was fished out, dusted off, brushed off, and put on the plate. And I thought, well, I guess it's possible that that could happen, right? But both stories ended with the punchline, and everyone said that was the most moist turkey they ever had. I thought, you know what, the story sounds almost too good to be true, but it's still good to pass along.
Leave it to the reporter and you to be like, these two things do not add up.
Let's interview somebody. Who can prove that to me?
So for this Thanksgiving, are you guys worried about anything that you're making? I mean, Kathy, you said you are so you're not. Are you doing your party this year or no?
I'm not, because I've been on the road so much. I don't get home until tomorrow night, and I just thought it would be crazy to try to plan anything.
You know, next year you'll be bigger. You'll be bigger and better next year.
That's right. But I was going to make pie, because I always make pie and I love pie. But my friend and her kids really could care less about pie. So this year I am making a bourbon butterscotch pudding to take as my dessert.
Oh my God!
Seemed like a kind of a good, finishing touch to the Thanksgiving dinner.
I've made a scotch and butterscotch pudding that was so delicious. That sounds like it's going to be so good. I would love if you get that when you have that recipe, put that on with the Kitchen Party hashtag so we can check it out. I love alcohol infused stuff. It's like my favorite recipes.
I tell you, bourbon and anything is good, and I don't drink it. I just cook with it. Bourbon with mashed sweet potatoes. It's delicious. It's got
that smoky sweet thing going. It's really good.
Yeah.
So how do you all feel about mashed potatoes? I can tell you that I had a boyfriend many, many years ago, went to his parents' house, there were no mashed potatoes. I had to break up with him. I mean, really, no mashed potatoes. I thought that was just like a bad idea.
That's how
My
you weed them out. That's how you go, that guy is not for me. No mashed potatoes, you gotta be kidding me.
I knew. Like, if you have gravy, how can you not have mashed potatoes? Those things go together.
Yeah. And like you make a little gravy, like a little mashed potato volcano, and that's the best thing as a kid.
But then you also need that on your leftover sandwich the next day, like a layer of mashed potato on top of your turkey. I mean, come on.
Right?
Mhm.
Or you need mashed potato pancakes at breakfast with an egg on them,
Are you guys more
Mm.
are you more smooth mashed potatoes, or like you do like the potatoes within the mashed potato?
Yes,
Like the chunks?
yes, everything.
Yes.
Smooth.
And a lot of butter. A lot. Like an obscene amount of butter.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
sometimes
the butter for
cheese
sure.
is really good.
Oh, that's Amanda Pa or Pay. I gotta ask Amanda how you say your last name. Amanda, tweet me. Tell me how you say your last name. Says Bubbly here. Speaking of alcohol, does every Thanksgiving have a tipsy guest? Do you guys have any tipsy drunk stories?
Totally. Growing up, my stepdad made, he wanted to make Tom Collins for everybody for Thanksgiving. He was practicing and testing and practicing and testing, and by the time everyone came, he was napping because he had all of this ahead of time. He never even made it to dinner.
I was just talking to my neighbor, and she said at her wedding, her father started drinking at like noon. And her wedding was at 4 p.m., and she said he didn't make it. I'm like, do you guys ever send your guests to like a bedroom to lay down? Like, go sleep over there.
That's a good idea.
Go sleep over there, you drunkard.
I tell you, my now deceased grandmother, not the Jello salad one, but the other grandmother on the other side. When she got older, she started drinking, and she was tiny, and so one glass of wine would just make her really, really, really tipsy, and she couldn't hear very well. So we just started adding grape juice to her wine.
Oh my God.
So it's like a little bit of wine and a lot of grape juice, and that's how we handled it, because otherwise she would fall asleep at the table.
That's hysterical. That is
Like,
hysterical.
Funny.
Sweet.
That's hysterical. So guys, we have like 1 minute left of the show. Let me see if there's any.
I have some advice.
Oh yeah, please.
And that is, let's see, today is Sunday and Thanksgiving is on Thursday. So it takes 5 hours per pound to defrost a frozen turkey. And so if you have a 15-pound turkey, that means it'll take 75 hours to defrost, 3 days. And if you have a 20-pound turkey, it'll take you 5 days to defrost. So if you have your turkey now and it's frozen and it's 20 pounds, you need to put it in the refrigerator and start the defrosting process. And just keep that in mind, because what you don't want is to get to Thanksgiving Day and your turkey is still half frozen.
How can you tell if your turkey is totally thawed?
That is a really
The
good
legs move. The legs should move.
Yeah.
Like when you shake the beast, or when
Move
you...
legs.
Just move the leg up and down. Because that's
Okay.
that part where the thigh is, like that's where the cold really holds. That's the thickest, meatiest part. And that's going to be the last thing to defrost.
That's very interesting. Somebody tweet that so everyone else can know that. That's actually very good information. All right, so will you guys, on Thanksgiving, will you guys post picture to the Kitchen Party hashtag with like your meals so we can see what you guys have served or eaten, then even if you haven't served?
Sure.
You bet.
Excellent.
That sounds
Excellent.
like a great idea. I'd love to see that. I would love to see that.
Renee at the paper, are you guys working on a big Thanksgiving thing for Sunday?
Oh my
or?
God, are you kidding me? We've been working on Thanksgiving for weeks. It's just non-stop. We were working on Thanksgiving way back in September. And in fact, I wanted to piggyback on something that Elise said. I just posted a video today by our food editor, Russ Parsons, who talks about what happens if you do realize at the last minute, oh no, I did not leave enough time to defrost the turkey. And he has a quick defrosting method that you can use. But of course, the best method is the one that Elise mentioned, which is you want to get on that now and get that turkey out and defrosting now so that you don't have to go through the quick method, which involves basically putting your turkey in your frozen turkey in either a tub or a sink and covering it with cool water and then changing that every few hours to defrost that. But still, you gotta get on that frozen turkey.
Yeah.
Hey, Renee, will you post that with the Kitchen Party hashtag so people can check out that video?
I will, and I'll also include a link to our other Thanksgiving coverage because it's been, for us, you know, this is like the Super Bowl of food and features. So for us, it's just been nonstop Thanksgiving.
Excellent.
And that water trick really does work. That's the way to get it defrosted. I had one roommate whose turkey wasn't defrosted, and we just had to fill up the bathtub and put it in there.
And it's interesting. You need cool water. You would think warm water, but it's actually cool water, and that you just keep changing it, and it works. It's kind of crazy. Yeah. But hopefully it will come to that.
You know, when I grew up, that's how we did it every time. It was like I would wake up at 8 o'clock in the morning, and the turkey would be in the sink, covered with water. That was like how I thought you always did it. I never realized you would have them. But I remember when I was growing up, you would put the turkey in the night before, and it would slowly cook, and then 3 o'clock the next day it would be done. And now I see people put their turkey in at 8 o'clock in the morning, and then it's done by 3. Did you guys do a long, slow cook?
Well, what we do is we take the turkey out of the refrigerator at least 2 or 3 hours before we're going to start cooking it, because we get these big turkeys, and 1 hour is not enough to take the chill off. But we don't sit down for dinner until 6 o'clock. If you're going to start dinner earlier, then you have to get that whole process going a lot earlier.
There's also the possibility of buying fresh, never frozen turkeys, and that sort of takes care of the whole problem.
I love how Kathy's she's I'll one up you. That's really good. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining us today. This was kind of like a special kitchen party that we just had Elise on a show, chocolate and wine pairing, and we started talking about Thanksgiving, and we started talking about the quirks and the fail that we've all had, and we kind of put this show together, and we thought, well, let's see where it goes. So I'm super happy that a lot of people tuned in and gave some stories, and I think we'll be doing more of these sort of holiday-themed shows. So will Elise and Kathy, will you guys come back?
Of course.
You bet.
Excellent.
Happy to.
Do you guys want to tell the folks if you're working on anything for Thanksgiving that they should check out?
I have some good turkey leftovers that I'll be posting over the next few days, including a creamy, cheesy turkey enchilada, turkey mulligatawny soup, and a sort of a turkey sweet potato casserole. It's what to do with leftover turkey. So hopefully you'll have plenty of leftover turkey.
That sounds yummy.
Kathy, are you doing it? You're just so busy with the book tour.
I'm just going to go eat at my friend's house and then regret not having leftovers.
All right, guys. For those of you who are looking for recipes, you can go to Simply Recipes. Obviously, you can go to is it MissWheelbarrow.com?
Yes, MrsWheelbarrow.com.
And then the LA Times is LATimes.com/food, Renee?
Yep.
And then you can also go to BakeSpace.com. Of course, we do have a contest going right now where you can win some really cool pans. We just did a contest with the film The 100-Foot Journey. So check that out, win some cool pans, submit a recipe, and we will see you guys soon. Thank you guys for joining. We'll see you later. Bye.
Bye.
Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
Yes.
Happy Thanksgiving.